Hi, I was in Jerry's concourse program back in 76, 77. Some of my classmates are here. And then I was staff for the program until I graduated. I've got so many stories, and there's bits of some of that stuff floating around here. I'll just talk until somebody give me the finger or something. So, I don't know. He endlessly told stories to us in concourse, and that seemed to be a lot of his class. I mean, his class was called General Physiology, which just sort of meant whatever Jerry wants to talk about. Somebody talked about the evil eye story. The concourse program had a theme when we were there. It was called Mind, Matter, and Machine. And so we talked about the mind-body problem. And Jerry said, well, the mind-body problem is kind of an interesting problem because the problem of the mind-body problem is what is the mind-body problem. And, well, I was 17 then, and I'm 52 now, and I'm still working on that one. Don't know if we're getting any closer. He told this story once about this experiment with cats, where you put a cat in this device where there was actually two cats, and one of them was free to move around, and the other one was in a basket, constrained to move the same way the other one did. And there was patterns on the wall, and he did, I guess, single neuron measurements on the cat's brains, and showed that the cat that was actively moving was getting brain development that the passive cat was not getting, even though they were both seeing the same environment. So here was the same signals coming into the eyes, but the brain was developing differently in the active one. And I said, well, it seems like you're saying that intentionality actually has a consequence for brain development. And he says, oh wow. He says, don't let the brain people hear you say that. They'll cut your balls off. And I was sitting there with my girlfriend in concourse, and she said, oh no, not that. So I don't know. It was interesting about the thing about the creationist argument. He told a story, and maybe somebody here would know what the reference was, but I think he was telling a story about somebody else who was giving a speech here, and he kept referring to how good it was to be here at the Massachusetts Institute of Theology. Does anybody know this reference? Anyway, he kept saying it over and over again, and finally somebody just in exasperation said, it's not that, it's technology. And he said, really? Then why do you have a quota on the number of Jewish professors that can be here? So does anybody know that?
Yes, it's G.H. Harding. G.H. Harding.
Ah, thank you. Okay.
And Norm Levinson tried to get a position at MIT in the math department, and Vannevar Bush said, but we have so many Jewish mathematicians already, we don't even know.
Ah, thank you. Okay, so it was real. So I think it may have been the first day of class in concourse where Jerry talked about the hierarchy of the sciences, and so mathematics was the greatest, and then there was physics and chemistry, and eventually you got your way to engineering, which was all very practical and not very high class. And then the last day of the entire program that year, he gave this other talk, and I don't remember what the title was, but it ended up being the hierarchy of the sciences. And the last sentence on the last day referred to the fact that, well, the way we study physiology is that we try to reverse engineer things. We try to design something that simulates what the brain does or what the body does or whatever. And so he finishes by saying, and so we see that in fact engineering is in fact the highest of all the sciences. It was great, and I remember telling some of the other concourse professors, and they just didn't believe me. They said, no, I couldn't say that. They didn't know Jerry very well. Somebody was saying they should have done this while he was alive, but I remember when I was a student, there was a gathering like this, and he was getting an award, and he was there, and Maggie was there, and there was a whole lot of people. I don't know if people would remember that, but I was there 76 to 80. I guess it was 1980. He was getting some award, and I remember he was asked about his relationship with Maggie, and he said, we like to fight in public and save the good times for ourselves. At least that's what I remember. And then, you know, he was being lauded. I think he was being given this award for his original research that was showing how the brain is this information processing system and how it was like a computer and all this. And so, you know, he's sitting there through all these talks and everything, and then at the very end, he gets up and he's given a chance to speak, and he says, well, thank you very much for the award. Oh, by the way, did I say the brain is a computer? Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's a gland. What was this guy, Mr. Lin, was saying that, oh, there you go, sorry, about the forging signatures. I don't know if he told this story to other people, but he, in his electrical engineering work, you know, you learn about metastable systems, and that any flip-flop has a time when it's metastable, when it's going from one state to the other, where it could be, it's an ambiguous state, and if you poke it, it could go one way or the other. And he said, so he would teach us in the class, and the example he would use was the Servan-Seiler vending machines. I don't know if they still have them here now. And so he'd say, well, there's this moment when you drop the coin in where it's in this metastable state, and if you hit the machine, it can go into the other state, and then you get your candy, but you also get your coin back, and that resulted in a whole lot of things. And he said, well, I was just trying to teach some principles here of electrical engineering. Help that. Yeah, wow. Oh, so in that general physiology class, because he taught in concourse, but he also taught in the regular program, and so there was something with the grades. I don't remember what it was, but basically you get an A if you took the class. But he did have this test once or twice during the term, and you had to be there. But most of the students wouldn't come the rest of the time. So there was one day there was supposed to be a test, and the room was packed. And he said, oh gosh, I'm terribly sorry, but I didn't get the test finished in time, so it'll be next week. And then he pauses, and he says, all right, the rest of you can leave now. And everybody's sort of nervously looking around. And finally, a couple of people nervously get up, and then this whole parade of people parades out the room. And he says, ah, yes, the civil engineers. So, you know, I'll tell you one reason I came here, and I don't know if there's going to be any more chance to answer this, but, you know, he was always telling amazing stories and inspiring people and all the things that people have talked about, but he was also always doing research, and there was always supposed to be some amazing thing on the horizon. And I know he had some amazing amplifier that he was working on, and I remember going and because I studied physics here, but I went on and was in the industry, and I talked to semiconductor people, and I had them call him and say, gee, you know, if you want to make this, we can make this for you. And then he sort of backed off, well, I'm not really ready for that. So I always wondered what happened to a lot of these projects. And I mean, the last one I remember was, I was talking to him in 2005, and he was down in the basement of building 26 or something, I don't know. And he was working on this project to improve the resolution of all optical systems. And so you were going to get light microscopes that would be more powerful than electron microscopes, and electron microscopes would see neutrinos or I don't know what, and that you would be able to have telescopes on Earth that would be able to see Earth-like planets around other stars. And I said, when are we going to see this? And so he said, there will be a press release in 6 months. And this was 2005. And I said, I mean, that will be like earth-shaking if that happens. And he says, it will be earth-shaking. Does anybody know what happened with that?
Ask Jonathan.
Jonathan!
I'm up here.
Oh, sorry.
I'm delivering the talk later.
You are?
On that subject.
Here?
Here.
Okay, I want to hear that. Okay, I should...
They have seen planets.
They've seen what?
Planets.
Planets. Well, but not Earth-sized. Or I don't know. All right. Okay, that's enough. Thank you all.
Sandra. Actually, while she's Jerry taught me that trick too, and I developed a wonderful sweet tooth as a result because I didn't have much money.